So, you know how I said in the previous video on the channel about Jack Eichel that there was stuff going on outside, leaf blowers and all that, in the distance outside my window, which made things a little bit weird because the microphone picked it up? Well, this video has been delayed because there is indeed some other stuff going on. It's almost like there's a chainsaw of some sorts. They're cutting down things outside my apartment over here, and it's so loud to the point where it would actually be very disturbing to record thoroughly. So I think they're gone for now, so I'm going to start to record this video. We'll probably get it up a little bit later on the channel than I would have liked to, which would have been 12 p.m. PST. But today we're talking about Christian Dvorak, because my goodness, did I really underestimate this guy and his offensive capabilities. I'll say this right off the bat right here, you know. When it comes to my favorite teams acquiring players that are pretty good in the National Hockey League and seeing these players potentially overachieve compared to what we think they're going to be able to do, the one name that comes to my mind is JT Miller. Miller was a 40-50 point guy with the Tampa Bay Lightning, acquired by Vancouver, and all of a sudden, boom, he's the first 70-point guy on the Canucks since Henrik and Daniel Sedin. That's the first instance that comes to my mind when I think about my favorite teams acquiring players and those players just performing so gosh darn well. But Christian Dvorak, dude, I'm not going to say he's going to be JT Miller or that he's going to get 70 points or whatever, but man, preseason game number 1 for Dvorak sees him getting 4 points, and they're all primary as well. He gets himself a goal and 3 primary assists too, in what was ultimately a showcase that I was like, dude, Christian Dvorak had 4 points and I didn't even realize it. At the end of the box score, you know, taking a look at how everything goes down, looking at the game tape and reviewing everything once more, I didn't even realize that Dvorak was involved in so many goals over here for Montreal. You know when you watch a hockey game and you see the players that stand out to you, the ones that look good, they're like, okay, yeah, they're making an impression. I'm noticing you, Josh Anderson, you're scoring some goals out there. I'm noticing you, Kevin Poulin, when you're putting the puck into your own net and all that stuff. I'm noticing these guys. For Dvorak, I didn't really notice him. But then at the end, I was like, wow, this guy just quietly put up 4 primary points in his very first Montreal Canadiens game, and he doesn't even look like he broke a sweat. The first point for Christian Dvorak was the Josh Anderson first goal of the game. Dvorak just kind of tips the puck over to Anderson as Drouin sends it across the blue line when they're breaking into the zone. Anderson comes in on the right side and he absolutely roofs it top shelf for Christian Dvorak's first ever point as a Canadien. Not to mention the fact that Jonathan Drouin, hey, he's back over here too. He got himself an assist on that one as well, baby. He's back and ready to roll, and that was exemplified even further 4 minutes later on the Canadiens' second power play goal of the game. This was the beautiful passing play that we saw, where Jonathan Drouin at the right point gives it over to Josh Anderson. He one-touch passes it back to the top of the umbrella. Weidman goes to the left side. Armia passes it across. Drouin in front for Dvorak, and he scores. Literally all 5 Canadiens on the ice get involved in this play, and they just go Harlem Globetrotters all on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Here's my reaction to the actual goal here. Good perimeter movement here by the Canadiens. It's Drouin at the blue line. Over to Anderson. Armia on the left. Wing to wing, Drouin in front, they score! What a beautiful goal! Christian Dvorak! What passing! Armia to Drouin to Dvorak! Holy, I know it's preseason, but that was crazy! Yeah, so it was a pretty good goal to watch, and Christian Dvorak, dude, he goes out there and he doesn't even smile after putting it in. He just kind of hugs the boys. Drouin, he looks super happy, so great to see for Jonathan over there. 2 points in the night for Drouin in the first, 10 minutes of the game. Then you give it a little bit more. Josh Anderson, with his second of the night on the power play in the second period, is assisted by none other than Christian Dvorak. It's actually Weidman who carries it out of the Canadian zone. He passes it over to Dvorak, who just skims it right through to Anderson, who picks it up with speed. He comes in, he shoots it from beyond the hash marks, and it is 4-1 Montreal. This was pretty good, because not only did Anderson get himself 2 goals at this point, not only did Dvorak get 3 primary points at this point, but we also saw Chris Weidman doing his thing as well. He was heavily involved in the second Canadiens goal, where Dvorak had a point, the 1-2-3-4-5 passing play that they did, He didn't get an assist because that's just kind of how hockey works. Only 3 players get points on goals. Wideman was the 4th guy to touch it. But when it comes to being on the power play and having that anchor on the back end, Chris Wideman honestly kind of showed himself off as that guy in the game yesterday against Toronto, and it was not even really close. For the role they had him in, he played pretty well. And as for the guy that we're talking about here today, Christian Dvorak, his final assist was Michael Pezzetta's empty net goal. It was even strength. Anderson and Dvorak combined for the 2 helpers. So Josh Anderson not only had 2 goals, he also had an assist. Dvorak, of course, 1 goal and 3 primary assists. Pezzetta, of all people, had 2 goals, so good on you, Michael Pezzetta, kind of getting your break over there in the National Hockey League. And you had yourselves what was a revitalization of a lot of the guys that are in this lineup that we want to see do well. Drouin, Armia, what great movement on the power play. I thought Armia had a pretty smooth and somewhat underrated game because he was just kind of doing what Armia likes to do, just hold on to the puck and use his big frame and solid positioning with the puck to very easily and casually dangle around guys with seemingly no effort at all. It's just all the more interesting because you look at this team and you're like, yeah, that power play was doing their damage, and we didn't have a good chunk of the top power play guys. No Weber, no Gallagher, no Suzuki, no Caulfield, no Toffoli. Like, this is honestly the second unit that went out there, right? And I know they played against a Toronto team that was pretty much just Riley and Marner and AHL guys, plus Mikheyev, I guess. But this is still a lot of fodder to get excited for when you take a look at the capabilities, you know, what this team was able to do and what this team has the frame of mind to do. I know they say it sometimes on the broadcast because you're playing preseason hockey against rookies and AHL guys. You might be a little bit more tempted to go out there and do some pretty nifty dangles and whatnot. But what I liked about Dvorak specifically was that a lot of his points, all of them actually, were not fancy at all. The goal in front was a product of the passing play by the team. Dvorak didn't really do anything there, aside from be the net front presence that was all alone and shoot it and score it himself. But all the assists that he made, just light little taps, sending it across, horizontally to the man streaking in with speed. He did that twice to Anderson. He also did that for the Pezzetta goal too, which, I mean, it wasn't really the same because he just kind of sent it all the way down from his own end. But Christian Dvorak had this frame of mind that was like, yeah, I'm just going to go out there and play the right way, you know? This is the kind of player that you want on your team. You don't really expect him to score 4 points in a game, but when he does, it's like, oh, he was in the right place at the right time, he was making the right plays, and he just played a game that made a lot of the players around him that much better. And when you take a look at what Jesperi Kotkaniemi was capable of doing, like, he wouldn't have done this. Sure, he might have had a 4-point game once in a while, but like, the way that KK plays is so underdeveloped compared to the understanding that Dvorak has on the ice right now. And I know I have to preface this entire conversation by saying the same thing we always talk about over and over again. Could Kotkaniemi become really great? A first liner at this level? He could be. But when your guy gets offer sheeted for $6 million, you have to go out there and say, okay, are we going to match this? Like, are we going to go out there and say that he is a $6 million player now? He's not. And so you use the compensation, part of it at least, to get Dvorak. He is onto the team right now. He is a little bit older, but he's a lot cheaper, and he's locked up long term. And he does this. Man. Isn't it kind of crazy how everything coincides with Arizona? Because even yesterday, we had ourselves Vancouver and Calgary playing. Ekman-Larsson and Connor Garland went out there and they did damage. Ekman-Larsson had 2 assists, Connor Garland had a goal, and even in the opposite side, in the Arizona-LA game yesterday, we had Louis Eriksson, of all people, score goals. So yeah, this Arizona connection, dude. It's kind of funny how Arizona relates to my favorite teams and just how everything coincides, because now Christian Dvorak is out there getting 4 points on the night, and seeing Connor Garland and OEL do their thing with Vancouver just a few hours later. I, for one, as a Canadiens and a Canucks fan, am very much looking forward to seeing how these guys do, because if they start producing as consistently as they seem to have done in the previous preseason games, and I know it's a preseason, I'm not going to overreact, then I'm absolutely going to blow my top off with excitement. So talk to me in the comments, what do you think about Christian Dvorak and his performance yesterday? Did you think he was alright? I thought it was pretty okay. Tell me in the comments what your opinions were about Dvorak and anybody else you have in mind as well. I hope you enjoyed this video, Rosén 99, and bye.